Hello, hello. So we got so lost in the 3D illustrations that Nabil was creating himself that we were watching
Oh,
it like in an ape, and I couldn't leave the studio on time. So sorry. So we are here with Umar
it's
now,
fine.
and Umar is another empowering and very inspiring gentleman, and he has a very specific purpose. But before we go there, I would like to ask you just a little bit about yourself. So tell us about yourself, introduce yourself. Who is Umar and what's your purpose?
Right. So my full name is El Umar Mokhtar. So I am basically no one in particular that is quite famous or anything, but I am here as a person who wants to talk about my own experiences so that maybe other people who can relate to them can actually take something back from it as well. So just a bit more about myself. I am 29 years old. I work as a media consultant for a media company, which is basically we just do sales, but in media terms, basically. And a fun fact about myself, I do have an autoimmune disease, which is a rare one. It's called ulcerative colitis, which I've suffered back in 2020. And I am also a Mr. World Malaysia finalist, also one of the models for My Digital Fashion Week. But yes, that's a bit about myself, but we can get more details later. But I just want to talk to you about, because my topic today is talking about imposter syndrome and why you should take risk, basically.
So, what
Right.
makes you think that you have imposter syndrome? That's the first question.
See, I don't think it just applies to me. I think it applies to everyone as well. I think a lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome, but what made me think that I had imposter syndrome personally for myself is basically because I always think that I am not good enough to start something. Plus the fact that being diagnosed with ADHD myself, I tend to start a lot of things at the same time, but I tend to not complete them. My only problem is starting things is really easy for me, but completing them is a chore, I would say. So I am still working on it, and I'm not saying this in the form of an expert because I overcame imposter syndrome, not exactly, but I will try to share my experiences how basically manage them to say. So it's more towards how I do things that manageable. I'm still learning through the process, but hey, that's why we're all here. We're all here to learn. We're all here to be better versions of ourselves at the end of the day.
So, how do you start? Okay, you realize you have something, you want to get over it, you really want to tackle this problem, and you want to finish things. So, how do you start? What are the first things that you do to manage this?
Okay, I think for me personally, myself, I've always been a very risk adverse person. I would blame it more towards I would say blame. I hate the word blame, but my parents has always been overprotective of me, so they always try to make me feel like, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's part of it. But then again, if you don't try to step out of your comfort zone, you don't know if you can actually succeed in doing something. So it wasn't until previously mentioned before, I suffered from an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis, which is basically my immune system basically attacks my colon and it causes bleeding ulcers. So it was during that time back in 2020 where I thought that was the worst time I've ever felt in my life. So I thought if I'm going to go through this again, I don't know when's the next time I'm going to go through this flare up again. So I might as well just take all the chances that I can. So any opportunities that come my way, I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to try my best. It doesn't matter if I fail, doesn't matter if I succeed or if I don't do. Because the thing is, when you don't try it, you fail 100% of the things that you don't try. So might as well just go for it and just do your best at it, basically.
I love it. And going out of your comfort zone, it must be hard for the first time. So, when you are facing this fear of doing something that you've never done before, like what makes you go on? What makes you really stick with it and really do that project?
For me, it's oh god, it's it's one of those things where I don't have confidence in myself. I know I look like I talk a lot, I may look confident, but it's all facade. I'm telling that now, because it just makes when you try to fake confidence, you make it look like you're confident, but you're actually not. You're actually just crumbling at the inside. But here's the thing though. I would say I have a good support system. I have great friends, my family members. My mom still says, like I still can't do stuff, but like I know that deep down inside, she still like is supportive of me in her own weird way. But the thing is, I always try to take that first step because when you don't take that first step, right, you're always going to not know how far you can go when it comes to it. So for me personally, even like when it comes to like me being at one of the models for My Digital Fashion Week, I never thought that I could actually be a model per se because um, we because I thought like because I've always been big size myself and models have always been a certain look. So I thought that I could never be a model. But then there I was being casted in one of the biggest fashion shows for Raya and also one recently for the October one. And also for the one where in Mr. World as well, where I was one of the finalists for Mr. World. I mean, I didn't get a placement, of course, but there still I was there, one of the top 24 out of like 300 people plus who auditioned. And I think like, you know, it was the journey, the process where, you don't know what you're doing in the beginning, but as you soon, you know, go through the process, you tend to learn and you adapt. And that's how we all are, as human beings, because as human beings, we tend to adapt to things. And when you learn something, you tend to adapt. And that's how you grow. You grow through pressure. I'm not saying pressure is good, but it's good for growth, but not all kinds of pressure is good. Betty says, does it mean that all of us have this imposter syndrome, meaning we lose confidence in ourselves? Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that more like lose confidence. It's more like it's self doubt. It's like that voice at the back of your head telling you that you can't do it. But even though other people trust you, but it's just your own self doubt that keeps holding you back. That's what imposter syndrome is, and it can happen to anyone at any age, no matter what the profession. Even I think people in high positions though who have actually achieved things, even they feel like they shouldn't even be there in the first place. Yeah, that's basically what imposter syndrome is.
I think it's very close to self sabotage, right? When you are, putting yourself in your own way, and you are not letting yourself to succeed.
Of course, yeah, I do agree with that because the thing is, and this is something that I learned recently, which is how I try to change my paradigm and how I think about how to approach stuff. I'm only in control of, and there's this thing called the locus of control, by the way. I'm only in control of the things that I can control internally, which are my thoughts, my emotions, my actions, and my words. Wait, that's four things, but it's thoughts and emotions are the same, kind of like interconnected, right?
Yeah, emotion
So
is harder to
action,
control.
I do agree with that. So, but it's basically those three things because a lot of people, when a lot of bad things happen to them, um, they tend to blame like outside forces. They tend to blame like God, or they tend to blame like things that happen around them and stuff. But the thing is, but those things are out of your control. The only things that you can control are those three things. If you have done your best at what you think you can do, what you have done, and what you have spoken, or what your actions, your words, and your feelings, emotions, you'll be at peace with yourself, no matter what the outcome is, because you've known that you've tried your best.
Yeah, I understand. And Betty is also saying the self doubt that is holding us back. So it's kind of like connected to self doubt. Definitely, it's something that is holding
Of
us
course.
back every time. So when you say that you are facing things that are out of your comfort zone, you are happy and risking and doing it, but you must have also had challenges that you have overcome, and things that you didn't manage to do how you wanted to do them. So how you overcome
Uh,
your fears and
oh yeah, okay. I have to admit, I would constantly beat myself up when like things don't go as planned, and I think Andrea has seen it before, like when it happened to me when during like the October Festival, which it's a bit of a screw up. It's a bit of a screw up that happened. Basically, the choreography that happened didn't turn out how I expected it to be. But the only way you could basically come out of that is to basically just know that whatever, like I said, like whatever effort that I put in, it would reflect on what has actually happened, um, and in what has happened basically. But then again, things have happened and you can't change the past, as much as you want to. We all wish we had a time tuner thing which you can turn back the past and try to redo our wrong mistakes, but in the end of the day we can't, and we have to live with them. But doesn't mean that just because we made a mistake doesn't mean we can't learn from it, because how we get better is how we learn to become better, by learning from mistakes. Mistakes will always happen. We
Mhm.
can't, mistakes will always happen, and that's the part of living life. But you just basically don't repeat the same mistakes and just basically become better, just learning from them.
Mhm. Yeah, learn from your failures. Failures are just,
Yeah,
I always say, it's just tasks along the way that you need to somehow tackle and do it, and then you learn from it. And it's just like a normal thing that is on your to do list. So don't be afraid of it.
exactly. A to-do list is one thing though, because as person with ADHD, I tend to be more. I want to be more organized, so I have a to-do list. But sometimes I do tend to forget to even look at my to-do list. So I have to have a to-do list for my to-do list as well, which is kind of like, I have to just basically become more. But it's something I'm trying to learn myself, being more organized. I have to be, because working, especially working in the media, working in media as myself, we have like a time schedule, a timeline that we have to follow, and I have to constantly follow each and every single one of the timelines. So as much as I'm not an organized person, I have to be organized either way. So it's something that I'm really working on towards becoming better about it.
Yeah, I love it that you're learning from it. And then you must have a bucket list. I think we talked about that. We will bring this up. So, what are the things that you are still want to do or try? What are the new things that are out of your comfort zone and you have it on your list?
Ooh, okay. What things I want to do out of my bucket list? Okay, I do plan on. Okay, so I just dabbled in the world of pageantry recently, and I do feel that because of how I exposed myself there and what I talked about in pageant, because my topic, my advocacy for when I was in the pageant was about sex education and how I feel like it's important, especially for people in Malaysia. I feel like I want to continue doing that, especially in terms of volunteering, because I'm kind of person who usually just like sitting at home. So it would be nice for me to actually go out and do more volunteering work. I feel like it's something that I want to get out of. And I feel like documenting stuff and putting out more on social media, I think that's something I would want to basically get people, because I have, as you can see, Andrea, I do talk a lot, but I feel like I need to have an audience for me to talk about. So I think social media is something I should really get into. If my friends have been talking about me to try it out, and still that self doubt just keeps holding me back. But I should really try to like do something about it. And hey, maybe I'll start a vlog or something. Something that could like,
Where
yeah.
we can do a virtual handshake that you will do it in 2023 as a challenge.
I should, yeah. It's just a personal thing. Just like in the next year, I'll start doing my own like YouTube channel or like TikTok videos, just like talking about stuff, because that's what I should do. Oh, good day to you.
Amazing. Yes, Andrea is here. Andrea is from the EU, so Europe. So it's very nice to have her here. So last question before we change, and I see Victor in the studio. We will try it again to go to Africa. It's sometimes
Oh, okay.
hard to check in from other continents, but Victor is here in the studio, so he will come up after you. But before we go
Right.
there, and I bring him up, tell us a little bit about what's next for you in the short future, like. What's coming for you? I don't know, this month, this year, beginning of next year. What are the things that you are looking forward to?
Wow. The world is technically my oyster right now. Since like I'm so free right now. I'm willing to take on projects, whatever it is. I want to venture more into doing like more. I would say like, yeah, like I said about volunteering. I want to do more volunteering and like more video production wise. I want to get a message out there, because I feel like I have so many things to say, but I feel like I need it to be heard, because what I'm trying to do right now is not trying to influence people per se, but I'm trying to make an impact. Because as much as it is a very, you know, corny thing to say. You know, if I manage to inspire one person, that person managed to inspire another, it creates a ripple effect that will inspire more people. I know it's a very pageant thing to say. It's a very like, you know, like that, but it's true. It has some truth to it, and I feel like talking about stuff like, you know, me having imposter syndrome, being vulnerable. I feel like more people, especially males, they need to become more, need to show their more vulnerable side, because I feel like this whole session has been about me talking about, you know, my problems and stuff. It's basically like a therapy session sharing with you guys, but I feel like there's a stigma for guys that they don't like to talk about themselves because they feel like they may seem weak. But being vulnerable is not actually a weakness, it's more of a strength, because you're exposing yourself to people and people are more willing to accept you for who you are, and from them people can see how genuine you are and how you present yourself to others.
Andrea is saying that yet influence is ego-minded, impact is from the heart. So good choice.
Thank you, Andrea.
Here you go. So thank you so much for the sharing and for empowering the males or the men, because the
Yes,
story of the Empowerment Hub was the same, similar thing that we started with women empowerment, and then the first year we struck through the whole title because it revealed that not just women need empowerment, but everyone needs empowerment at some part
of
of the
course.
life. So we are
Yeah.
not excluding anyone. So I'm very happy that you are helping males and men to get over all these things and to make them speak up, because that's also
Yes,
very rare.
please do. More guys can be more vulnerable. I wish to see more guys talk about their issues, more guys talk about, you know, their problems, because we need to have a safe space for guys to actually talk about them.
Love it. Thank you so much, Umar. It was amazing to have you in the studio, and I wish you
Thank
all
you,
the
Andrea.
success and all the bucket list. Please do that. Go on social media and
Yes.
share your ideas. I will be the first one to subscribe to your YouTube channel, so make it happen.
Ah, thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you so
So
much for having
thank
me.
you. Yes, of course, anytime, and have an amazing afternoon, and see you very, very soon.
All right, you too. Bye bye. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye bye. All right. So let's see whether Victor can come on board. I see him in the studio. So I will ask him to on his camera or the mic so that I can see that he is here. And in the meantime, Umar can leave the studio. And I say hi to Andrea. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much for being here with us. So one more time for Victor. Let's see whether he can join us because now it's time to go to Africa. And with Victor, we are going into Nigeria again. So let's see whether he is here. Let me just check it. Okay, I see something happening. All right, I can see someone. Let's bring him up. Hi, Victor. How are you today? I can see you. Let's see. You have to unmute yourself. That's the only thing. To unmute your microphone.
Okay. Hi, Andrea. Can you hear
Hi,
me
nice to
now?
see you here. Finally, we are here and meeting, and we could make it happen.
Ah, last. All right. Yeah.
Last week,
Good
but you
day.
are
I don't know
here.
whether you're in the afternoon over there, but we're in the morning here. So I would love to say good morning. How are you doing today?
Oh, good. So for us, it's in the afternoon. It's 5 o'clock, and for you, it's morning in Africa. So really happy to have you in the
Wow.
studio. And you brought us a very beautiful topic, how
All
to
right.
handle dips in business. And I really love that topic. But before we get there, and before your internet is going away, let's just explore a little bit. Who is Victor? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Victor Akionde is a serial entrepreneur and at the same time a tech savvy. I mean, he's somebody who really loves tech and who loves technology and its application in industries. And so far, I've been able to successfully build two businesses that are quite nationally recognized and known. And we are currently expanding our tentacles, across Africa. And once we get to Africa, you should be expecting us in Asia and in other continents. So, and currently I'm currently working on another product, which happens to be the third one. and so far so good. It's really been a very good ride. So yeah, another part of me is just that I have solely been contributing to African languages development, and so far I've been able to publish like two different papers that have actually helped people in the area of natural language processing, and at the same time try to publicize the language. I mean, the languages in Africa too. So I can say I'm somebody who really loves the development of Africa, and that is what really, really drives me. So, and that is what brings about everything I'm currently doing, even here in Nigeria and in Africa generally. So, in summary, I'm an entrepreneur and at the same time an academician who is very serious about publishing papers too, and at the same time somebody who loves the development of Africa. So that is who Victor is. Thank you.
I love it because it's very connected to traditions and preserving the languages, the different dialects. I heard that in Africa you have so many
Ah, sure.
different dialects all around the continent, right?
Yeah, many. Yeah, sure, sure. So I want to believe that it would have been a really, I mean, it would have been something so good if you can actually have an automated translator that translates whatever I'm saying. Like if I should say Ekaro means good morning in my own dialect. So, and you might not just understand. So, that could be a translator that can actually translate some of these indigenous languages for you. But currently, we don't have any. And that is what I'm currently working on with some of my colleagues. So, and
Yeah,
we are
that's an
critically
amazing
working.
idea.
Yeah, sure.
That's a
Thank
beautiful
you.
idea.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
Thank
I
you.
really would like to, go into these rural areas, and it would make it possible to save and to safeguard so much knowledge from the old generations who are still alive and still speaking those dialect. Like imagine all the stories, all the different, I don't know, even just the plants that they are using for health or a recipe. I don't know. It's just amazing the initiative that you have to preserve all these hidden secrets that no one can really understand today.
Yeah, to me, I mean, basically, we even love to have you here in Nigeria. Just come and pray, visit. We have, several geopolitical zones with several indigenous, I mean, with several tribes and with several indigenous languages. It's gonna be a very awesome experience for you. I won't lie to you. I mean, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I will follow what you are doing and how you are doing with this project. It's an amazing project to start with. We have also some dialect in my country. It's a smaller country, but we also have some part of the country which speaks a little bit differently, but not as different, I think. I believe it's a little bit more close. So, because Hungary is a language, everyone should have a translator because no one speaks it outside of Hungary. So it's only 9 million people
Wow.
who are speaking this, and if those 9 million people they don't speak it anymore, then it's dying. So we have to
Wow.
keep
Wow.
up this language. So yeah, so very nice to hear from your project. And then also we have a topic for you for today, which is how to handle dips in business. So
Yeah.
for me, it's exciting and it's a very nice topic. So I just want to ask you first, why did you choose this topic, and what is your take on it? What is your perspective?
Yeah. The I would say the reason why I actually chose this topic, it's just because it actually connects to my personal story. I would have given up long ago, and I would have loved to even give up on some things long ago that too that I did not give up on. So I mean, just refused to give up on, and eventually, in the long run, I was like, oh wow, to have given up on these things would have even been the best idea. But there are some things I actually gave up on that I ought not to have given up on, just because I was thinking, wow, this thing is not gonna, you know, turn true. I mean, actually become a very good. I mean, turn to a very good thing, or perhaps I might not be able to see the good side of it. And just because I couldn't just, persist and endure to a large extent, I gave up on those things. And eventually I was like, oh, wow, I shouldn't have done that. And there are some couple of things, as I mentioned earlier, that I was thinking, oh, this thing would yield something great. And I never even believed that they were all cliffs, or, they were just like a kind of cul-de-sacs. And I refused to give up on them. And eventually I could bring nothing out of it. So I strongly believe that as an entrepreneur and as a business owner or as business owners, there are things you should give up on, literally, because once you've studied those things very well, you know that these things are not just going to give you a positive result. So you don't need to waste your time on those things. And at the same time, there are some things you just need to, endure. All right, go through the struggles, go through the, the tribulations. If I mean, if that is even related to business, just endure it, because all of those things are deep, and the deep might actually take some times, but in the long run there will always be a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, as people say. But literally, I don't know who asked them to put light at the end of the tunnel. Why isn't there lights in between tunnels or something? But basically, I mean, dips are just like that. Dips are just like tunnels. You just need to go through everything until you found out that there is light at the end of everything. But some people might not know that it's a dip, so they tend to quit immediately. And there are some things that actually looks like a cliff, that okay, fine, you are just at the tip, I mean at the edge of the cliff, you can fall off, or you are just in the cul-de-sac that cannot even, I mean, it's just a parallel line. I mean, that cul-de-sac is just a parallel line, to your, what's it called, to your efforts, so they can't meet. So you just have to give up on those things too. So it's actually emanated from my personal experience, our personal experiences of, I mean, things I also have given up on, and things I'm supposed to have embraced or endure, that I did not do that. So, and that was, I was like, oh wow, I would love to share that with people. Yeah.
Nice. So the first thing is to realize that it's deep, and then try to just embrace it, and then start to understand it, right?
Yeah,
Understand where
sure.
is it going, what is it coming from, and then after you are trying to getting out of it. But I think the dip can be different for everyone, and here comes also the question from Brett.
Mhm,
What
yeah.
is exactly a dip? And we always have to start with the definition.
Okay, so well, what I would literally call a deep is just this kind of, I just hope I can present my screen. I guess I have some things here. I mean, is that possible?
Yeah, normally you can share your screen. There is a share screen button. So if you find it, it's next to the screen now, so you can see it in your
Okay.
screen.
All right. I'm coming. I'm coming. I just want to use that to explain something so that you can literally get it properly.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, waiting a little bit, and until then, I'm just saying hi to Andrea,
Yeah,
Alchan,
I
and
mean,
Beth, who are watching
can you see my
us.
screen now?
Yes, I can bring it up next to us. Yes, here you go.
Okay, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right, thank you. So yeah, I mean, considering what we have, what I'm having on my on this slide. So actually, this happens not to be the what's it called, the first slide of, I mean, the first slide of what's it called, the first page of the presentation. But since you asked the question, so deep is just something that every business owner and sales professional face, and it's this kind of lull in sales and drop in profitability, or sometimes the challenge of finding the right people and changing the people for your team. So as you mentioned earlier, dips could literally be different for, I mean, for everybody. It's different from everybody. So to me, I would just like to say what the dip was for me when I started my entrepreneurial journey. So then the deep was just like inability to get the right people, I mean, on my team, because I was literally just I knew I have a very good idea because I've validated I mean, I've done my market research, validated my idea, and I know I mean, I'm just gonna come out well. But when it comes to the team, that is my deep. And I began to go through it. I got the first set of people. When you're starting up, you can't have all the funds to to run the business. So you just have to get some people who actually sees the vision alongside you, and people who can actually work with you even with no or low, or let me just say, or less token, so, or with just a token rather. So I couldn't get those people on time. So and at that point in time, I was like, okay, fine, literally. nobody wants to build a startup with anybody, and nobody wants to just see the vision with me. Or at some point in time, I began to ask myself, do I even have a vision? I mean, is this vision valid? Is this vision okay? So I began to question myself and query myself. But at some point in time, I was just like, fine, I guess I should just relax a bit, because um with the way things are going, if I should just continue, I might just crash things. So instead of me to just proceed with those things, I decided to just, I told the team to just, everybody should go on their separate ways. And I want to move on with my life. So I wanted to get another job, a 9 to 5 job, instead of me to just tackle the issue I was facing. So I went to get the 9 to 5 job, and I began to. But there's this side of me that keeps telling me that, come on, 9 to 5 job is not your thing. You just want to be an entrepreneur, and I went back to. So literally, I can say I could have gone farther than this, if not for the fact that I was quitting, coming back. But to me, the deep is just the challenge I faced in getting the right people on the team. And to some people, it might actually be lack of sales and also. But my own deep was a very great deep, because it was something that literally affects every section of what I'm doing. Because if you're not having the right team, you're not gonna make the money. I mean, you're not going to build the right product because your execution will be poor. You're not going to make the right money because there are even no people who are happy to market your products, and I think that to tackle your clientele base, or your clients or your customers about the products. So they are not happy with the vision, they are not happy with everything, and at the same time, you yourself, you won't be happy with yourself. So it's just it was a great problem that I needed to really solve, but I shied away from it. But eventually, I just came back to it, and when I pick up books, I read books, I did a lot of things. I went for mentorships and all. So, and in the long run, I was able to get over it. And currently, I even have people who are reaching out to me on LinkedIn and on other social media platforms that, Victor, I just want to work for you. I love what you're doing. I want to work with you. I want to work hand in hand. So it was just because I left the path of myself, or I left the path of personal development. I love the part of publicity. I love the part of things are meant to do. I mean, the things that were my own duty, and I was actually just looking forward to the team to do what they expected to do. So I guess that was the problem I faced, or the problem I encountered. And once I was able to realize that, I focused on everything, and I'm back to my feet now. So that is what I can just call a dip in my own experience, but to some people it might be different.
Do you want to go on with the presentation? Would you like to share a little bit more about your topic, or would you like to just continue the free flow conversation?
Man, I prefer this. Though I've prepared. Okay, fine. I would just like to share something with you, but I mean, with everybody. But I think this your mode of I think I love this modality. I love this one. So it's just like a kind of conversation. We can just proceed with that.
Okay, so let's go further. So we already know what are dips. So Betty is also summarizing it for us. So these are drop in profitability and drop in people challenges, right? Or drop in productivity and problems and challenges in business. All these are representing basically dips. And after we recognize that, okay, these are the dips, now comes the part when we have to handle them. So how do we take this and turn it back, or do we turn them back? How do we handle dips?
Okay, so basically, I would still like to, just move to another side of my slide, because I have something for that. Thank you for the question. So well, the best way to handle the dip is to first recognize that it is a dip. I always tell people, it is very, very hard for you to solve what you cannot recognize. It is very, very hard for you to, solve a problem that you can't even say, okay, fine, this is the problem. All right. So if you once you realize the problem, then you know, okay, fine, I guess this is how to solve it. This is the solution. So the first step you need to take in solving or in getting out of the dip is just to realize that it is a dip. As I mentioned earlier, we have the cliff, we have the cul-de-sac. So and for the cliff is just like something that, okay, fine, I'm coming. Let me just quickly show you the cliff here. Yeah, cliff is just like you standing at this edge, you're falling off. You're falling off. So a cliff, are you about to go over the fall or something? I mean, cliffs are very deceptive. So you're gonna think you're going up or something, but if you critically look into it, you would know that you're coming down. So that is just the cliff. So when
Mhm.
you are, I mean, you must not confuse the deep for a cliff. And at the same time, you need to know that there is another one called the cul-de-sac. So the cul-de-sac is just like, I mean, is just like the cul-de-sacs and your efforts are two parallel lines that can never meet in physics. Yeah. So there are two parallel lines that can ever meet. They will never meet. So once you realize that, okay, fine, this is cul-de-sac, then okay, fine. The next thing you need to start thinking is, okay, fine, can I convert it into a deep? If I cannot convert it into a deep, just quit. So the cliff, can I convert it into a deep? If I cannot convert it into a deep, just click, just quick rather. So but coming to a, what's it called, a deep, as I mentioned earlier. So you need to first realize, okay, wow, this is a deep. So and I'm just, with the way I mean, with the way things are going, I'll get over it. So and these are just my own few thoughts. So number one, you need to identify where you are right now versus where you want to be. So is, I mean, is it gonna pay off? Is it something that I need to quit? Because for dips, right? So you don't have to quit. So it is something you just have to get over. So then the second one is, after the identification, okay, fine, this is a dip. So you need to now think about, okay, fine, how do you feel when you are handling, some of these boring stuffs that you're facing, even while going through the dip. So how do you handle the difficult work? Are you finding, I mean, are you hating some stuffs there, or something? So then if you know that, okay, fine, wow, these are things I don't like doing. These are things I hate doing. So then, and you've realized that it is a deep already. So think about, how can I love to do what I mean, some of those things. How can I put in more efforts to ensure that, my efforts, or my endurance in the deep actually pays off? So because if you've actually identified that it is a deep, and at the same time you're not trying to, because one thing about thing in life is that the things we hate to do are things we must do to be successful. But if we don't realize, okay, fine, these are the things I hate, if you realize, okay, fine, these are the things I dislike, these are the things I find boring and difficult, then you can actually do that in such a way that I'm going to like it, and in such a way that is going to be convenient, and be easy for me to do. So if you can actually do all that, and I can tell you that you are preparing to leave the deep. So the first thing I mentioned earlier that is, so the first thing I mentioned earlier that is so difficult to do, so uneasy for me, interesting, because once you still don't find them interesting and you still find them difficult to handle, it still becomes a problem for you, and you're just going to take so long in that deep, and eventually you might not just get out of it, and you might eventually start confusing the deep for something else. So I guess those are just the major ways or major tips I think I can actually offer. uh I mean, for to people, on how you can basically just try to basically leave the deep. So recognize, the identify that it is a deep, and at the same time try to look for things you're finding difficult, things you're finding boring, uneasy, and things you're finding impossible, and look for a very good way or a possible means to which you can actually do those things. So and once you can do all that, and you find what you're doing already, you love it. I'm serious. If you love what you're doing, in no time you just realize that you're just going to get out of it. So I guess that is just the strategy I think I have deployed practically. And I mean, I was so pragmatic about it. I deployed it practically, and I guess it's worked for me. Things I realized, okay, fine, I mean, to talk to people was not my strength before, but eventually I began to to talk to people, to create content is not really my strength. And considering the fact that the LinkedIn space, you just have to give something to people before people can say they are giving back to you. Yeah, so you just have to create content. You have to, I find content creation boring. You just have to call people, jump on calls with people, try to address people. If you don't find all of these things interesting, then you're not ready. So I those things I found so boring, just because my own weakness, or thing that was meant to do to get out of the deep, is just to know how to relate with people, know how to do my own personal research and personal development as regards team development and maybe team building. So I had to just force myself to do all of those things. So, and what did I do when it comes to content creation? I just tried to, I broke down my stuff into chunks, and I was just like, okay, fine, today I'm just going to talk about product management, because I started about product management. And let me just start with something I know I'm more familiar about, and things that are just my strength. I began to share on LinkedIn, and to a large extent, some people thought I was working on the product because I'm sharing tips on product management. So with that, people began to reach out to me. Is there any product you're working on? I was just like, wow, I think this thing is paying off. So, and when it comes to jumping on calls with people, I found it so boring. So I went on Udemy, take a course on how to talk to people, how to relate with people, how to network. So from there, I began to go to tech events, go to random events, network with people, even on LinkedIn, just enter people's DM. Oh, I'm Victor. I'm Victor Akionde, and I just like to connect with you. I like to. So, things I found so boring, I found so uninteresting before, I looked for a better way to learn them and to ensure that I'm doing them. So since I've realized that, oh wow, this is a dip, it's not something, it's not a cul-de-sac that that I can never be successful from, and it's not a cliff that I'm going to fall off from. So it is just a dip, and I just need to put in my best to actually get out of the dip. So I just look into a way of solving those things, and a way of converting my uninteresting things to things I'm interested about, my difficult things to easy things, and impossible things to things that are possible.
I love how you are using this for your everyday life, and then even for content management. And then, okay, the first thing that we have to do is whether it is something that is deep, so it's just something that happens to not to interest you as much right now, and then check it out how you can be interested in it in your own way, and finding out ways how you can just go on the upper part of the deep, so get over the lower part. And once you realize that constantly these two things cannot meet, and you are hating it, and you are just not getting any kind of consensus, then you just leave it, because it will never meet. You will never love
Yeah,
content
sure.
management breaks, so then you have to outsource the things. And then you have also the third one, it's a cliff. So basically you make mistakes, or I don't know, you are just jumping into it, and you really don't like it, and you quit it, right? So cliff is more like something that you are giving up on it, right? So you don't really, something bad happens also, or it's just because for me that's the only thing that I don't understand on the cliff part, that it's coming okay, and then for example in your content management example, how would a cliff look like if it's about content management for you? So just to make it more picturize it, so that we can
Okay.
understand the third version.
Okay, thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier, the cliff is just something you're doing. I mean, you're so consistent about it, but the end point is just something, I mean, it's just gonna come down. So, and considering using my content management and content creation as an example. So, if I was, I mean, let's assume the content creation was actually a cliff, and I did not realize that it was a cliff, and I kept doing it. So what would eventually happen was just that, okay, fine, the content I'm actually creating for people would even be the one actually dragging people off from me, because people will see it to be like, what is this? Even people that are following me before might just want to unfollow me, because the contents I'm actually creating are not relatable, and the content I'm actually giving them, is not something I ought to be giving them. So then, if I realized, okay, wow, this thing I'm doing, I'm fine, I'm consistent about it. So for the first, for the first period, I mean, for the first, should I say, couple of days that I'm creating it. So some people might, people might just like it and pass. But if they realize that I'm being consistent about it and it's not relatable to them, they are not just going to engage it again, literally. And with that, it might actually even draw people away from me. So eventually, what is currently happening there is just that you find I'm falling off. Though I'm creating something, though I'm doing something, but I need to realize that this thing I'm doing is something that's just gonna, that's not gonna pay off. All right, it's not something. It's something that I fully know well that while I'm still doing this, nothing is just gonna come out of it. So I need to first, okay, fine, okay, let me just cite this example. Then when I was creating content, I found it first difficult to create. So definitely I now try to hire somebody to do that for me. So then I just give the person an idea about it. Okay, fine. Tomorrow this is just what I want to create. So the person goes and create it. So the person, when I read the content, there's no way I can edit it because I don't have the edition or content editor or something skills. So I would just have to let it fly like that. But at some point, I realized that it wasn't relating to people. Why? Just because it's not really connecting to. It's not connecting to the emotional part of me to which I'm bringing the topic from. You get it? So the person is not actually in my, how do I put it? The person is not getting the emotion from me, and the person does not even know how to create the content in connection to the emotional side of me, to from where I'm actually bringing that content from. So and since I realized that this is gonna be a clip for me. So the best thing to do is, okay, fine. How am I feeling about this content? What are my experiences about it? Let me just come out clear and express myself. And since I began to express myself, okay, I know that you find right from that very deep side, I began to see that you find I began to get some little engagement going up till I begins to get reach out, till I begins to talk to people, network with people, and from there I realize that things are going properly for me. Things are getting better. So, but if I was still looking for somebody to create it, well, maybe I could have gotten somebody better. But I found that to be a clip for me because I'm just gonna fall off if that thing was so consistent. So the best thing for me was just to quit it, all right, and look for a better way to do it. So I think I've been able to. In my little understanding, I've been able to do
No,
just
no,
pivot
thank
to
you
that.
so much for sharing. It's a very interesting way of handling business and having a way of understanding things that are in front of you. So, guys, if you are watching us, just use these three things. Recognize it, whether it's a dip, it's a cul-de-sac, or if it's a deep. So that's already a good thing. We could learn about this with Victor. And now we are ending the conversation. So the last thing would be about Victor. Tell us a little bit about where can people reach you the easiest way.
Okay. But the easiest way to reach me, you can reach me on LinkedIn. All right. I'm Victor Akionde on LinkedIn. You can just check that. You can. The name you're seeing on your screen currently, Victor Akionde. You can just type that on LinkedIn. So you're gonna save it. So that is one way, and another way I can literally drop my WhatsApp contact. Yeah. So you can reach out to me on WhatsApp. So I guess those are the two major ways to which you can reach me. LinkedIn, preferably. And if you think you just want to have a personal chat with me directly on WhatsApp, so there's no problem. So I can drop my digits for you.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, later we can add if anyone would like to reach out to. I think the best one would be LinkedIn. So follow Victor Akinode. You see the name here, and then if you need anything else, just let me know, and I will direct you to Victor. Don't worry, because I have his WhatsApp address and all the different details. So no problem. So thank you so much, Victor. I wish you a beautiful day, and thank you so much for being here. We could solve it. The audience doesn't know, but we were trying to make this happen for 4 weeks, and we couldn't really do
I
because of
mean,
technical
it's
problems.
really been so tedious.
But we
So
are like
it's
really
actually good speaking
determined.
with you.
We really
All
wanted
right.
to have make it happen. So thank you so much, Victor, and have an amazing day in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you too. Yeah. Take care of yourself, Andrea.
Thank
Yeah.
you
Bye
so
for
much.
now.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
So beautiful to have here, Victor. Now we were going around countries, and another guest is coming soon. So basically, we will have someone else who will be coming with us and explaining one of the most beautiful projects that I have seen lately. I have been connected to this person through Mala. Mala Dwarsami is someone from MyTech Malaysia. So I have been visited an event there where beautiful children were doing amazing things and beautiful projects. But until she's coming up, let's hear from Jamie. If you remember, tonight we will have a metaverse networking event where Jamie was the one from the UK who was setting up this place for us. And tonight it's all dressed up in a fashion themed formula. So we will be there from 9 p.m. Malaysia time to learn about metaverse together by doing it. So we will meet in a Zoom room first, and after that I will make a little bit of tutorial about the application, and then we are all heading over and trying it out with our own handphones to experience this beautiful space together, and how metaverse is today, which is still developing, as we talked about with Nabil. So until I bring up Dr. Shariha, please listen to Jamie, and if you have time, then join him in his endeavors to help coaches to use these spaces for engaging education.
Hi, I'm Jamie Beakoff-Brett. I am a workshop facilitator and a metaverse architect. I have an upcoming cognitive inclusion workshop, but what makes this workshop truly unique is it's going to take place in a tailor-made metaverse space. I created this interactive metaverse space because I know for learning to take place, it isn't all about the learning content, but also the environment in which someone learns. So, who is this cognitive inclusion workshop for? Well, do any of these challenges sound familiar? You're frustrated when organisations aren't valuing, leveraging or retaining individual attributes and talent. Your Zoom fatigue has peaked and you're tired of the same old ways of facilitating training online. You want to learn how you can leverage the utility of metaverse technology to facilitate learning in an engaging and innovative way. Frameworks that help you to understand your thinking and the thinking of others often fall short. You want a workshop that's about value and not just entertainment. If this sounds familiar or your organisation is facing other challenges, you'd probably benefit from finding out more about how we can support you. You can do this by going to my Stan store, which is stan.store/Jamie Beakoff-Brett, or reach out to discuss further.
So this was actually Jamie. Jamie was also one of our speakers throughout the 5 weeks, and he was the one who is actually advocating for using the advantages of digital for something good, like social good. And he is creating these spaces, offering it to people so that they can be included in digital transformation, and they can use these beautiful spaces for their own experience, for their communities, and he is teaching people about how to use these spaces in different ways, which is actually something that is happening around the world. And metaverse is really coming to something very close to what they want to achieve. There are still some elements which are still need developing, but as we know, online and hybrid and virtual is acceleratively growing so fast, because the base that we are building on, it's already very strong, and because that what we are creating is putting all these brains together and all the collective mind from the world, they are all working together in this one space to make it actually a better experience. So that's the one that we will be checking us tonight from 9 p.m. For today, we have one more interview with Dr. Sharia this afternoon, if she can make it. And then after that, from 8:30 p.m., we have Samuel Barili with us, who will talk about the marketing side of waste management, which we were touching by time with some of the speakers. And then 9 p.m., we have the Zoom meetup and the special metaverse experience. So I see Sharia in the studio. So if when she is ready, I will just bring her up. See her smiling. So let's try that. Hi, hello. How are you today?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you, Andrea?
I'm good. You look so beautiful. I love this deep blue garment. It's just making it so like I'm in 100,001 nights in India. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I really love it. So we have an amazing topic for you with you to explore, and we have around 30 minutes or 25 minutes to do so. And I met you because Mala from MyTech was introducing us to each other, and she's always there to support the project of the Global Empowerment Hub since the beginning. And I'm so happy that you are on board. And you are someone who is also walking the talk, and I love to feature people that are walking the talk with your projects that you are doing for children. So before we get into your topic for today, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Shariha, and what's your calling? What's your purpose?
Well, thank you so much for even inviting me on the show. And thank you to Mala for the connection. I was so pleased to meet you also when you came to our event last weekend, which I'm sure we're going to be speaking about today. So a bit about me, Shariha. Who is Shariha? Well, I have very much been, kind of working in this space for many, many, many years, and started off my journey working in the healthcare space, and now I guess in the change making space. I'm not quite sure how to define where I work, but really my purpose, my calling to do this type of work has a deep connection to how I see my own responsibility on this earth, that links on the one hand to what is expected of us as human beings, but on the other is really about also helping others discover and realize their purpose in life. I'm very much guided by Khalil Gibran's words, work is love made visible. And I really see my purpose as being exactly that, helping people grow more love in this world through their work and through their own actions.
I love it. So, work is love made visible. Beautiful quote. I really love that. And I can see that you are driven by that, because when I went to your event, it was so visible that everyone was working so closely. I love to observe people. So, when I entered into the room, then I saw the children helping each other and supporting each other to get next to the stage and doing their performances. And then I saw your team. Everyone is looking for each other, looking forward to help each other. And then I see the audience, the parents who were also involved, and everyone was just like full of love. And it was just a beautiful experience. So I could definitely see this quote, work is love made visible. So your topic for today is happy people and happy planet, building well-being movement driven by children. And I think the first thing that we need to start with is tell us a little bit about this title. What is all behind this? What is the work that you're doing from love? So let me see whether there is an internet issue, so I can wait for you until it's fixing.
So this event that we had was really fun.
Yeah, we have an internet
To
issue, so
celebrate
maybe
children around the world who are creating and responding to problems that bother them. Is the connection not so good? I think it's probably affected by the weather a little bit, I think.
yeah, maybe. I don't know whether you can change to your phone or you can.
Well, let's try again.
Yeah, it's a bit rainy in Malaysia. Sometimes it's
people,
happening.
I should just remove my camera just to see if that.
Maybe let's try that. Maybe.
But you can avoid.
Yeah. Okay, let's see whether we can hear you.
So the event that we hosted to the land themed Happy People, Happy Planet, designing a happier future together. And it was really very much about celebrating children from around the world who are creating solutions to things that bother them. And it was just so beautiful to see what they came up with and how they were sharing so confidently about what they have done for their local communities. And in that way, their presence in Malaysia, sharing it with the kids from Malaysia, was an extension of that love that we definitely saw in the way they were interacting with each other. What is Happy People, Happy Planet? I was inspired by the words of a song my friends Dr. Judy Briansky and Russell Daisy wrote I think it was back in the United Nations first law, the International Day of Happiness, which is on the 20th of March every year. And the words are so beautiful. If you look at the lyrics, perhaps, I can share it with you so that you can also share it with your community. What is happiness about? It's really about breaking it down to the simple things that bring joy to you. So we were thinking, especially with the pandemic and with challenges people these days face, it was just really beautiful to be able to just use these words as a goal also for them, to remind them that sometimes you can get simplest things in life, but at the same time, for you to be happy as a human being, your planet has to be happy too. And so it works both ways, that if you're happier as a person, you have more, I guess, capacity to be able to do something for the planet. But equally, if the planet is happy, you will be happy too. And we saw what happens when the planetary boundaries are breached. What happened with the COVID-19 pandemic. It is, a virus that emerged from the animal kingdom to us human beings because of the planetary boundaries that were breached. And so we just live in such an interconnected way with the planet. Possible to talk about our own well-being, also addressing planetary health and well-being. And that's really a little background. But we've been having this theme for the last 4 years of the national level ICANN school challenges here in Malaysia, to help and structure a goal for the children as they create their projects, to think about how that particular project, whether it's a project saving stray cats, or whether it's about cleaning drains, or about creating little exercises to help you learn better, especially when education learning shifted to fully digitally. Whatever it is, think about the bigger goal of how can that, help you be happy and help the planet be happy too. Or what's wrong with the connection? Here I am, but I think you can hear me much better now, right, without the camera.
So there is still a little bit of distraction, but I think we can hear you. So it's already saving a little bit of the time, so we can hear you and we can talk with you. And I can just attest that it was just amazing, like really being there and seeing these projects, like how they created their own locker and how they were celebrating each other with the little things that they did and they could do in their environment. And sometimes we are just thinking that those little things doesn't count. But then, just as you said, those little things can have amazing ripple effects, because it's just starting something small, and then maybe someone has a happier day, and then they go home and their family has a better day. So it's a beautiful thing to start something like this. And I really love the fact that you were also bringing art into the picture. Was this originally part of the project, art and singing and performing?
So we've always been driven by this whole sort of happiness and well-being agenda in all our work over many years. Over a decade already, we've been championing the well-being agenda. But what has changed for us, I would say, in 6 years, who would be driving this well-being and how would we do it? Because primarily before that, we were working mainly with governments as well as development institutions, multilateral agencies, the kind of United Nations agencies, and also with corporations. But in 2014, we were invited by a fairly large global who was looking to expand their philanthropic footprint in the region to do a scoping study for looking at opportunities for impact in education in Malaysia. And in the process of us doing that, this was the end of 2014, we discovered so many things that we felt, moved to act on, if you know what I mean. We delivered the report for our clients and they proceeded to it as the basis of a new group that they created using the collective impact approach to pool philanthropic sources of funding in order to deliver on a collective impact project. So they proceed with that, but we felt moved to also do something ourselves, and something that, of course, we felt we could contribute towards, where it didn't require just us to be able to lift. And that was how we went in our own way to look for who was doing already many things around the world and how could we partner with them. Our model always been about partnership. And natural to just try and embark on something this ambitious with partners who are equally aligned with our vision. And so in the process, we discovered Design for Change. And they, that time when we got to know them, we, just blown away by what they had. And not can I, but I can. So really, this model of empowering children to the core. And they had already been working in so many different countries. So we knew for sure that we wanted to work with them. At the same time, though, we were also partnering with another organization called the New Economics Foundation, who was well-being in the context of how do you measure outcomes in well-being and happiness at the kind of country level. And were introduced a lot, maybe I think a couple of years back, to the 5 ways of well-being. By the time we started looking at, okay, what we do with children, also introduced a methodology for well-being, 5 ways to well-being in schools. The 5 ways to well-being is so super simple. It was created by the youth together in order to drive well-being at the sort of citizen level, because in the UK they too a system for health and well-being, so they had to find a way where they could empower citizens at every level to be able to take charge of their own well-being, to keep the doctors away and to stay healthy. You have 5 ways to well-being that you practice: keep learning, give, connect.
I think the connection is just.
Also into our work with schools and.
I think the connection is a little bit disrupted, so
Sorry?
I don't know. Yeah, the connection is a little bit disrupted, so I think we are
I can repeat
not.
that. Be active.
Yeah. Maybe try it again.
I'll repeat. I will try and move also to a it improves.
Yeah, maybe 2 things can help.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to the.
So the 5 ways are: be active, take notice. Yeah. So let's see if it improves it now. There are more bars. Be active, take notice, keep learning. These were the 5 ways and took it to schools in Malaysia. In addition to the kind of ongoing work and received from Design for Change and their country partners who are also focused on well-being.
I think that's amazing that you could learn and work together with so many organizations, and that also you did the research and then you were working with so many people at the same time and created something that is molding all the best practices together. So I'm really, really happy about this. And what is next for Happy People, Happy Planet? What are you planning to do in the close future? What's the next project?
Yeah, so what is next is super exciting. It's really super exciting. We're going to do is we're going to gather stories of happiness from children from around the world over the course of the next 1 year to take them to India. Next year's celebrations are going to be in India. And we are very keen with some filmmakers to help kids tell the story about happy people, happy planet from the simplest lens, films of under 3 minutes that demonstrate what happiness means in the cool cities, whatever they wish. And we're hoping to bring the films to India next year and perhaps to the next celebration also in 2024. So that's at the kind of simplest level. We're partnering also with an organization that has brought in this methodology called dignified storytelling. That really is about placing the an object and to give them that level of dignity, because often in this space one can always end up unintentionally portraying some of the people you're trying to help as objects to be helped rather than as assets and co-participants in stories. So we're hoping to partner and organizations, and in addition to that, we are also going to be working on bringing more happiness into schools, together with UNESCO, and to help them expand their Happy Schools framework. And yeah, exciting things ahead, and very happy that at the core of all of this is really about bringing this happiness and well-being agenda to the level of the children, so that they become an active happiness and also the happiness of the planet.
And I love that the children are so active and participating, and it was really good to see them being interested in all this and being happy about learning new things, singing together about the happy planet, and about how you can act on it and how you can really make it happen. Thank you so much for this sharing. It was beautiful. I'm really make it possible a little bit further. We have a little bit more time, so let's see how the internet is holding on. So I have one more question to you. Regards the sustainability and regards the planet, I saw that many works were around the sustainability. Is it also part of your project and part of your agenda to help to raise awareness around sustainability?
We actually are quite excited about some of the corporate partnerships that has formed and continue to be formed with some of the wonderful projects in their local communities. And of course, another big pillar of our work is on sustainable investments, but at the time, strategic advisory work for corporations on how they can embed beyond just whatever the reporting requirements are. So this work that we're driving through our nonprofit is really helping bring the pieces very beautifully together. Because, every child that creates a project that is happiness of people or happiness of a planet, that project has a potential to be adopted by a corporation of its work in the community. It can help drive opportunity for their employees to volunteer or to mentor some of the students. They can time because most businesses are located also in the vicinity of schools. It just really makes sense that some of their work is driven through these schools as hubs for sustainability, for happiness, the people who live in that area, and also the environment, the planet. And so we're very excited about that. We have two corporate partners who are going to be journeying with us as we test this model in a deeper way over the course of 2023. We have the top 10 student projects that have had corporate partners commit. So we'll be able to tell you how it goes when we're taking it down to this deeper level of involvement with the corporations.
Yeah, it's kind of when I hear to listen to it, it's kind of like an incubation with the schools and the kids, and making all those ideas a reality. So amazing, and I will be following you, and all the best for all the success, and it's just an amazing initiative. Andrea is saying that this is beautiful. Keeping a happy moments in list is increasing happiness also for adults. So she's saying that it's awesome that you're doing this. So thank you so much, Shariha. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity and being on board with us for this interview. And I wish you all the best for the next projects. And yeah, I just really happy to follow whatever you are doing. If you need anyone to showcase, then please keep this platform. You can anytime talk about the Happy People, Happy Planet project, or even Design for Change, because I think that's so amazing what you are doing and how the children are so actively involved. So thank you so much, Shariha. I'm
Well,
waiting a
thank
minute.
you. Thank you for sharing. And we really hope that this model can be replicated in many other countries too. Thanks to the support of the Ministry of Education here in Malaysia and all our local partners. But it's really a model that is so simple that we hope to see emerge in other countries also around the world. Thanks for the time today, and I'm really sorry about the connection.
No problem. We will make it happen. And otherwise,
with you and your community, and I'll be very happy.
yeah, we will collaborate. Don't worry, and we will find a way to make this interview again so that we can post it in a nice way so that you are also visible.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so
Goodbye.
much. Bye bye. Goodbye. So the technology made this interview a little bit more distracted, but I think we have got all the beautiful things that Shariha and the team is doing. So I will post the links for you, Andrea, and also anyone who is interested. We will put it under this conversation, and once we can make the interview in a nice way so that Shariha can really be part of the conversation, then we will also repost it again. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Christian, Andrea, for Achan, for being here and supporting the interview. And we are going on a little break, and we will be coming back around 8:30 with Samuel, and then we will have our networking. And tomorrow, don't forget, we have the last masterclass, so please be there. It's all about behaviors, and Kenyatta Turner is coming, and she will share about how to find out your superpower. I did this survey, and we will do the live survey again inside this Zoom room, and it's just amazing the results and how it helps you to gain clarity about yourself and about your behavior and your skills. So see you again. Thank you so much, guys. Have a beautiful evening, and see you very, very soon. Bye.